guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining me. If you're not new here, welcome back. For those of you that are new to my channel, I am a mom of 8 kids. My husband and I have been married for almost 20 years now. We are high school sweethearts, and we currently live on the eastern plains of Colorado on a farm. And today I thought it would be fun to share our financial journey with you. We are nowhere near perfect at finances. We actually kind of really stink at them, but God has been gracious to us in teaching us a lot of things over these last several years, and even throughout our whole marriage. We talk often about, everyone always says, well, what if we would have done this, or what if we would have done this? But even with all the mistakes that we made, I'm thankful for the adventure we went on with our finances, because we would not have learned nearly as much as we know now if we would not have made all the mistakes that we made. So I'm going to just start kind of at the beginning of our marriage and work my way through up into where we are now. And then I wanted to share with you the way that we budget our money. We have never been budgeters until this last year. Never. I hate budgeting. I do not enjoy it one single bit. I force myself to do it. But it wasn't until this last year, part of the reason that we were never budgeting our money is because we could not find a way that actually worked for us to do it. And it wasn't until this last year that we figured out a way to actually make it work. And so that has been super helpful, and it's just been great for us to be able to learn better how to budget our money. So when we were first married, I was right out of high school. My husband had a full-time job. He'd been working for a couple years, I think probably at least 2 years for the company that he was working for when we got married. Okay, so my husband had a full-time job. I don't remember how much he was making. It wasn't very much. He had purchased a little trailer house on a little piece of land before we got married. And we lived there for about he lived there for like a year and a half. I moved in, we lived there for about 3 months maybe. And then my husband transferred his job to Utah. So we moved to Utah. While we were in Utah, we sold our trailer house and the land that it was on. Ended up buying one house in Utah for a very good price. No budget whatsoever, just spending money. However, I do remember often barely having enough money to go get milk from the store or whatever. But at that time, him and I were both working full-time jobs. I was working more than a full-time job. I was probably working 60 hours a week, and he was working his full-time job. So we had a lot of money, and we just spent it. And sold the first house after about a year and a half, bought another house, and that's where our first daughter was born. She came home to that house. We actually ended up, when we moved from Utah to Wyoming, we left Utah because we were just struggling financially. And my husband had a job offer in Wyoming where he grew up with, where his best friend was, and we decided to take it. So we moved to Wyoming when Kaylee was 1. And he made a lot of money up there. He was a welder in the oil and gas field, and he made a lot of money. And we had a lot of debt. We bought a house that was, when we moved there were only about 4 houses for sale on the market. We bought the one that we thought was best for us, and had that house for a long time, and we still pay money on that house to this day. That was 16 years ago, and we still are paying money on that house. So we had that house. We lived in Wyoming for 8 years. We had at one point 3 car payments, camper payment, snowmobile payments, dirt bike payments, our huge house payment, full coverage insurance on all of those other things, plus going camping and snowmobiling and dirt biking every single weekend, plus all of the snacks and the food and the gasoline and the fixing the machines and all of that we had to pay for because we were using them all the time. So we spent a lot of money. We did not save any money. I'm very thankful and amazed at God's kindness to us, because we always paid our bills. We never had any late bills. And on paper, it should not have worked, but somehow it did. And we never had to file bankruptcy. We had friends who had to file bankruptcy because they just couldn't, their job wasn't paying them enough to keep up with the expenses of living. And I'm very thankful that we never had to do that. But we were spending a lot of money. And it wasn't until we were getting towards the end of living in Wyoming that God really started changing us, helping us to realize that we were wasting a lot of the money. We were not being good stewards of what He had so graciously given to us. And so very slowly we started to work our way out of debt. One of the things we did was to sell our dirt bikes, sell snowmobiles. I had bought Austin a snowmobile, a brand new snowmobile. I think it was $11,000. He had it for a year. About a week after the warranty was up, the engine blew up. And so that snowmobile was just trash, and we had paid all that money for it, and then we weren't able to use it anymore. So just dumb things like that we did all the time. Constantly trading in vehicles. You buy a brand new vehicle now, it loses so much value as soon as you drive it off the lot, and then you try to trade it in, and you have to add money onto your other loan, and just a mess. So we were in a huge mess. Finally, we had decided we got to get rid of some of these vehicle payments. So we traded in 2 of our vehicles for 1, which left us with 2 car payments instead of 3. That was a good first step to getting out of debt. That was very helpful for us. And then slowly over time, we decided to sell. I think we sold my husband's welding truck, which we had payments on, bought one with cash that was good enough to do what he needed it to do. So we had no payment on that one. And then slowly, you know, we sold our camper so that we didn't have to make payments on it anymore. And then we moved from Wyoming to North Dakota because my husband's job had quit in Wyoming. They were not doing any more work there. And if you can hear the kids yelling, they're all playing out there. So we got to North Dakota. We were making 2 house payments, one in North Dakota, one in Wyoming. We didn't buy a house in North Dakota, we just rented one. But they were still, it was over $3,000 a month for both of them. And that plus just we had 5 kids by that time. And we had gotten rid of most of our other payments by then because we didn't have a camper anymore. We didn't have our dirt bikes anymore, a snowmobile anymore. So we had kind of gotten rid of a lot of our payments. We had a lot of credit cards also we were racking up because we just thought, you know, they're going to give us free money. Why not take the credit cards? So we had to pay those off. We had some medical bills that had to be paid off. So slowly we did that. After being in North Dakota for a few months, we moved to Colorado. When we got to Colorado, we were struggling bad. We had started attending the church that we are still members of. And at one point we were just couldn't make it. We were struggling so bad. We didn't even know what to do. We couldn't figure out how to help ourselves. We couldn't figure out how to take care of our money. We couldn't figure out what to spend money on. We couldn't figure out how to budget our money. Nothing. So we went to one of the elders at our church and just told him, we can't do this. We are struggling. We are going under. We need help. And he came back, and I'm still amazed at God's kindness. The church has a parsonage, which right now is occupied by one of the pastors and his family. They've lived there for several years. But it was empty at that time. And they said, move into the parsonage, live there for free. Let us keep you accountable for your finances. Let us help you get out of debt. Let us help you to know what to spend your money on and how to budget it. And so that was very helpful. We lived there for free. They paid for the church paid for us to live there. They paid for the expenses. I mean, our parsonage paid for it, but they paid for, you know, all the utilities and everything while we were there. We were responsible to keep it up, mow the lawn, take care of the house, that kind of stuff. So we lived there for a few years. We were able to pay off a few things while we were living there, which was really helpful. And you know, I can't think back right now. I think it was when we were living in the parsonage that we were able to sell the house in Wyoming. After having it for several years, not living there and making that huge payment on it, we finally were able to sell it. But in order to sell it, we had to take a big loss on it, like $70,000 loss. So we ended up having to go get a personal loan for $70,000 and be able to pay monthly on that. And that is the loan I'm talking about when I say we're still paying on that house today, because we are. So I think it had to have been 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago when we got this loan, because we had sold the house. So anyway, over the course of that time, we have slowly gotten out of debt. We no longer have credit card debt. We pay our credit card off every month. I think we have 2 credit cards and we pay them both off every month. We've been able to buy our van with cash by saving up our money and not spending it all. We have right now, we've got 4 vehicles, all of which we paid for with cash. They're not new vehicles. We don't want new vehicles. We want vehicles that run and get good gas mileage and can fit our whole family. So that's what we have. So we've got those. We also, as most of you know who have been on my channel for a while, almost 2.5 years ago, we were able to sell our house in town that we had purchased, and we were given a house with land that we currently live in. It was passed down to us through my husband's family. So we have that house now. We live here without a mortgage payment, and it's wonderful. And so right now we only have our 1 loan left. That is a debt that we have to pay someone back. And God has been really kind in this last year. So when we moved into this house, we used our personal loan. We switched it over to an agricultural loan and used our land as collateral for that loan. And then we actually got a little bit more added onto it because this house needed some work before we could move into it. And so we did that. So at the time that we got our loan, it was about $110,000, I believe. I can't remember exactly. It may have been 130. I can't remember. So that was 2.5 years ago. And in the time that we've lived here, and especially just in this last year, God has been so kind to us in helping us to be more wise with the money that he gives us. So he's been very kind to us in teaching us to be more content with what we have, to use the money wisely, and we have paid over $60,000 onto this loan over the last year. So we only have around $40,000 left of that loan, and Lord willing, it will be paid off before summer. We are working so hard to try to get it paid off, and God has just been providing means of income for us, and we have sold so much stuff. We have sold a ton of stuff, tons of stuff. And with our steers, the reason for doing the steers was to make money to be able to pay off this loan, and so that has helped tremendously. So anyway, all that to say, I'm going to show you now how we're budgeting our money now. I'm going to show you real numbers. This is scary for me. It's not something a lot of people do. I guess people think it's not other people's business, but I'm always so curious about what other people spend on their monthly bills. Because we have 10 people in our family, I feel like we are always spending a lot of money. And you know, people will like fill out forms and stuff that are private, and then they have the statistics and whatever online you can look at, but I always like it when people share real numbers. So I want to share some real numbers with you today and show you what we're doing that has changed the way we think about money and the way we handle our money so much. Okay, so the first thing, I have read Dave Ramsey's books. We have tried a bazillion times to implement his strategies, and they just did not work. To budget monthly with our money, even like the Page company, Fun Cheaper Free, I can't remember what her name is, Jordan Page, she also has a lot of budgeting information on her channel and on her Instagram and her website, and I've read through all of that, but both Dave Ramsey and her constantly have you budgeting by month. That was not working for us. My husband's paycheck is a little different every single time he gets paid, and so I was having a really hard time trying to keep track of exactly how to budget the money that we were getting. So I found the Budget Mom. I don't know how I found her. She is a budget by paycheck lady. And let's see if this is gonna focus here. She has a lot of information on her website and Instagram and stuff also, and her YouTube. But she has a budget by paycheck system. And when I found the budget by paycheck system, it was wonderful. Like, I was so excited. Like, this is actually something that works for us, and it works well to the extent that we're doing it. I'm still not totally on board with the way that she does things. I don't like dealing with money, and so I kind of do my initial budget and then I try to stick to it, but we do so many, like, we're so sporadic with stuff that something could pop up and it's like, oh, well, we're gonna spend money driving to that or whatever. Also, where we live, we spend a ridiculous amount of money on gas, so it's hard to budget how much we're gonna spend on gas every month. All right, so I'm gonna show you how we do this. Let me turn the camera around and I'll try to kind of explain it to you as I fill out my sheets. Okay, hopefully you can see this all right. This is the February calendar. I actually bought her PDF of the Budget by Paycheck workbook on her website, and I'll see if I can find a link for it. If not, you just go to the budget, just Google the Budget Mom and you'll be able to find it. So I have this PDF that has blank dates in it, so you can just reuse it over and over and over again, which is great. So this is February. Turn this a little bit farther here. And you can see on here I have things filled out for February. So February 1st, we have our loan payment, our Worldmark payment, and Rick T. We get paid on this day. We have Epoch Times $7.99, trash, and then we have Plains Tel, which is our internet. Our Discover card is due this day. This is our Viero, which are cell phones, our Samaritan's Ministries, and our electric bill. Amazon Prime, another payday, our vehicle insurance, and another Rick T down here. So Rick T is a ministry that we give money to. So this shows me all of our bills that are due each month that are consistent. If you flip back here, you'll see that January is all filled in also. And I had started, actually, when I started doing this, I had highlighters, and I would highlight, you know, like this payday would be highlighted orange, and I would have to pay these bills with that payday, so I would highlight them orange, and then this one would be green. So then, like, this one would be highlighted green, and everything that we need to pay with that one would be green, but I don't do that anymore. I don't need to. I can keep track of it fairly easy in my head because there's not a ton of stuff on here. One other thing that I've just started doing is trying to write down any outings or anything that we're going to be doing that I know we're going to be doing that month, and that way I can budget a little money for them if I need to. Like you can see these days we're going to be going on a Kaylee senior trip, which we already have money for budgeted because we've been planning that for a while. So what I do is I'm going to go to flip to this page. This is the Paycheck Budget Tracker. And the way that this works, actually I'll leave that because I need it, is up here in the top. Hopefully you can see that. I feel like it's kind of blurry. It has where you can put your income. So let's see. Let me look this up on my phone really quick because I can't remember. My husband got paid yesterday. So I'm going to write this on here. $2,957.29. 2323. Okay. So you write up here the total amount of what you had. Then you're going to write in here what bills you're going to pay with this paycheck. So I'm going to flip this back. He got paid this day. These have already been paid from last month. So if he got paid here, we're going to start writing this down. So I'm just going to write this here. Epoch $7.99. Okay, and then we've got RADS, which is trash. $59. We've got Plains Tell.
Mama.
Alright, and then we have Viero. Samaritans. REA. I'm not sure how much that one's going to be yet, so I'm going to leave that blank. We have Prime, which is $15.57. And then our tithe check will come out of that, which is 10% of what the paycheck was, so that'll be $296. And then also, I know that we're going to have to pay the Discover card, and my husband paid the Amazon card. So those are our 2 credit cards. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to calculate, let me see here, payday. I'm going to calculate the total for these. So far what we've got is $943.56, and then I will figure out what these are going to be and write those in there, and then I'll add up the total all the way. Okay, I don't have to do this. He already paid that one a long time ago. I do have to figure out Discover. So the Discover card I'm actually not going to include on here because it is big. Has a lot on it because we've been using it to pay for the processing for our steers, which is expensive. So that money will actually come out of our savings, which is where we have all the money for that in. So I'm going to take that off. Alright, so we've got $943.56 for our bill total. So then we're going to take the total amount from the paycheck minus the $943.56. And that leaves us with $2,013.73. Okay, so we have some new envelopes that we're saving money in that I can't remember exactly what they are. Vehicle, Christmas, Hawaii, and seminary. Okay, and I'm going to get those out actually and check to see if I paid anything into them last week or last month. When we live so far from town that these are cash envelopes, and sometimes I forget to take the cash out of our account when I'm in town and put it in the envelope, so I need to check to see if I did that last month. If not, I'm going to do it for this month and make sure I get that extra cash out. Okay, I did do that last month, so that's good. I don't have to worry about that. Alright, so go back to where we were to find out how much we're putting in there because I can't remember. Vehicles, we are putting 300. Christmas 100. Hawaii 100. And then seminary is supposed to be 100. So that's $600. Okay. So if I was going to budget in our gas and our food, right now I'm not budgeting any food because I'm trying not to spend any money on food. I just bought some milk and dairy products, and that's all I'm buying for January and February. So I'm not going to put that in here, and I'm not going to put gas in here because I don't know how much it's going to be. So basically for us so far, this is how we're able to save some of our money up, is by doing these envelopes, which is very helpful. So I'm going to take what I had left over. I'm going to subtract the $600. That's going to be $1,413.73. And that's what we have left. So what I can do with that is probably I need to deduct some, just plan on taking some out for gas. I'm just going to write some gas over here. And then I'm going to put a little arrow so that I know which direction I went with this. I'm going to put, let's see, for gas, I'm going to put 600 for gas just to be on the safe side. So this will be $1,413.73 minus 600 would be $813.73. And actually I'm gonna put groceries just because I know I'm gonna need to get some more milk. Eventually my kids are drinking milk like crazy. I'm gonna put $200 for groceries. Minus 200. So that leaves $600. $800. That leaves $613.73. So this $613, what I can do is send it straight over into my savings account and it will be saved up over there. I could take cash out. I could put it into my envelopes here if I wanted to add some extra money in there. But what I'm going to do actually is just transfer it into my savings account because we're still working on paying off our loan. And a lot of the money in our savings account is going to go to that when we get a big chunk. So this is my basic method for budgeting our money every month. Sometimes I will do this and know I have expenses that need to be paid. And whenever I know I have expenses that need to be paid, you know, if we have any extra bills or whatever, I'll put those on there, write the checks and send them off. And sometimes we end up with no money left from our paycheck, which is totally fine. But then at least I know we have no money left from our paycheck. We can't be buying any extra things. And then we don't need to use our credit cards and go into debt and stuff. So this has been so helpful for me. It still is pretty sporadic. It's still kind of crazy and jumbled and doesn't follow all the rules. But this is what's working for us so far. So one thing I do once I have figured out how much cash I need to get for my envelopes. So I know I need $600, I think, for this time, $600. The planner thing I bought also came with these cash envelope teller slips. And these are really helpful because I just fill this out, which is easy for me this time. I only need 6 $100 bills. But I can cut these out. Sorry, my head's cut off. I can cut these out and then I can put them in my purse or my wallet, and that way when I go into town next time, it's like a reminder for me to get cash from the bank. But I just don't, I think this is something a lot of people don't understand, is that I just don't go to town very often when the bank's open. So it's a little more difficult to do a cash-based system. That was something else with Dave Ramsey's budgeting, was to do everything with cash, and that's really hard to do when you live 55 miles from the bank and you don't go into town whenever they're open. But this is working well for us for right now. So I'm really hopeful that in the future I will get better at this. I'm trying to do it every single paycheck because that just keeps me aware of how much money we actually have and how much we don't have, and what bills I need to be sending off and that kind of stuff. How much money we have saved up, and if we can, you know, buy this one thing we want to do or go to this one place or whatever. It just makes me more aware of what we're doing with our money. So if you are struggling with your money, if you don't know how to budget it, I recommend you give this a try. You don't even have to go buy the workbook. Like, write up your own page like this and just try to keep better track every single paycheck of where your money is going, because then you will know what you're doing with it, and you'll know where to cut costs. You'll know where you can splurge a little bit. You'll know the things that you don't need to be buying, what you're spending all your money on. You know, if you're going to the coffee shop every day and buying a $7 coffee, you're probably spending way more money on coffee than you need to, but you may not realize it because you're not keeping track of where your money is going, which was our problem. We were like, we have a lot of money, we are making money, where is all this money going to? We have no idea. So this has helped us to keep better track of that. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. It was kind of like sporadic and crazy, but hopefully it was helpful or interesting to you. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give me a thumbs up, and I will see you all next time. Bye.